So it's the guy who like transferred me that came to talk to me. I'm like, I'm not trying to, I'm not going into a panic attack because I'm in the psych ward. So I'm like trying to explain to them, I am going into an asthma attack. I've had multiple asthma attacks this last week. This is, following the same patterns that it's followed, the exact same patterns that I have. Trying to advocate for myself, and nobody's listening to me. So then the nurse comes and he assesses me. And again, it's getting worse. Okay, they leave. They're like, I will go call the doctor and we'll get you some prednisone. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Because as long as I get prednisone, it's fine. So I'm like, no, I can't wait. I have to like go to the fucking emergency room. I'm in a hospital. Just take me down to the goddamn fucking emergency room. So I call a third time. I'm like, listen, guys, we have got to do something here. Get our brains together, okay? Me, the psych patient, has to literally, like, medically discuss things with the people who are treating me and advocate for myself. And I'm like, thank fucking God I have this knowledge and I know how to advocate myself. I know how their brains work as nurses, how they're tired and they just, they're burnt out. So I know how to speak to them. You know what I'm saying? And I also know how to speak to them to get them, because I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to die. I'm afraid I'm going to get intubated because the thing that's been happening is I've been passing out. Also, this is not how I'm speaking to them. This is like how I'm speaking to them. I'm afraid I'm going to die. I'm like, guys, you can literally hear again that I'm in respiratory distress. Why is that not the most thing being assessed? Because that's all I've run into is a bunch of people who aren't fucking listening to me and making it so scary that I feel like I'm going to die because nobody is in a hurry. Everybody's denying me. So they were like, well, we can't like let you out of here or whatever. So then I get like wheeled down to the nursing station. And then when everybody has eyes on me, they're like, okay, no, obviously we have to take her to the emergency room. I'm like, thank fucking God. But holy shit, is it insane that this is what it took. But again, I'm in a psych ward. So like they're used to people like lying to them or like making stuff up or like, having panic attacks and all this stuff. And so I'm going to pause that really quick because I want to talk about being in the psych ward because I was only there for like 30 minutes. But it was like the most heartbreaking thing in the entire world. Like it was so heartbreaking for me. All I thought about was my sister because her whole life has been in and out of psych wards. And I actually kind of learned from her to suppress my emotions and not get myself so worked up and emotional that I get myself put in a psych ward, because a lot of the reason why my sister got put in the psych ward was because she was like just crying really heavy and very upset. And so my parents were like, oh, she's like mentally ill, but it's like, no, she's just literally expressing her emotions. And like, that's what I realized during this. I had so many revelations about my sister. I might make like a different video about that. But I heard this girl like weeping and crying. And it was just, like, so sad because it just, like, made me think, like, oh, I know that cry. That's the cry of feeling like God's abandoned you. And then you realize in these places, like, that's what it feels like. It's so inhumane. It's so sterile. There's, it's just, it feels like prison. It's disgusting. It was all battered up and torn up. And it just was so, it just feels like death. It's like insane because you realize that a lot of those people are in their most vulnerable states and they're just like treated like vermin. They're treated like so inhumanely. Like they are poked and prodded the second they get in there, and then they're shoved all these medications and they're left crying alone at night. Nobody comes to comfort them at all, and everybody thinks they're lying and are defensive towards them because of how obviously traumatized. So it's just like such a nightmare to be in the psych ward. It was like just so heartbreaking, and it made me feel so sad for anybody who's ever had to deal with this, because a lot of people are there because their parents are in denial of the way that they have contributed to the reason why people even go there in the first place. And the only reason you can have maladaptive behaviors is from trauma not being processed properly, is what I've learned now. And so my heart just broke and was like, I know. All I kept saying was like to myself was like, God hears you. I know you feel like he doesn't hear you, but he does. And one day this is all going to be so different. Again, that's what I've learned is God took me through this to see this for a reason, and it was to see like why he's going to end the medical system and how we should not shed a fucking tear for it, because it is so inhumane what we do to people in the medical system and how we treat them and what it's become. It is a beast. It is a nightmare. It is a shit show. Nobody wants to be there. Not one single person. Everybody knows it's not working, but nobody really knows what to do about it. And everybody's convinced themselves that they're happy in their jobs. 3, 2, 1 as I say this. And then it's just everybody's miserable and treats patients so horribly and all this stuff. And so, and then it was really hard for me because I have a wound of people not listening to me. You know, like, nobody's ever listened to me all my fucking life and made me feel like I'm dumb and stupid. But it's another thing to feel like medical professionals aren't listening to you when you have very rational, you know, reasons and you are presenting in a rational way, and that's still not enough to get them to help you. So then it just makes you think about all the people who don't even present that way, you know, who don't have their wits about them, who have harder issues going on, who didn't learn how to act that way when they're in like a hospital setting, or don't know anything about their own medical, anything medical. So it feels like they're even speaking like a different language. Like, I do have a privilege that I'm in healthcare when I go into healthcare situations, because I know exactly what the fuck they're talking about, and I know if they're right or wrong most of the time. Obviously that doesn't go for everything, but I have a good general overview of it. And so I'm at an advantage, and this is how I'm treated at an advantage. Like, nobody listens to me and thinks I'm literally nuts until I'm in respiratory distress to the point where I might get intubated. This has now happened 3 times to me in the last 4 weeks. So I'm like, the Lord is lucky I'm at this state of mind. But it also made me realize why I went here last. Because I can feel this is the last time I'm in the Matrix. Like, I can just feel it's like encroaching on me, because this was the hardest test I've been through. So, and like, I just feel like that's what happens. Like, I've been really, really tested lately, because what God is testing is my mindset. How is my mind going to work when I am presented with really, really chaotic, traumatic situations? Because that's what God's always done. He's always presented really chaotic, traumatic situations to me, but my mindset has always like if this was like my old mindset, I would be spiraling out of absolute absurdity and control. And, you know, I was having a lot of like angry thoughts, obviously, towards my parents and my mom and stuff. But I also was having a lot of moments of like, okay, I contracted this. Like, okay, what can I learn from this? I'm an observer here. What can I observe here? And that's exactly what I did. You know, I just take from my environment. I just take it all in, and I'm always processing it, and I'm always turning it into a lesson, because there is actually something to learn in every single thing that you go through. And that's like also what I want to show people with this story, is that no matter what you are faced with, there's something there. And actually, God told me that the pain is not the purpose. It's the lessons that you learn after it. So that's why he says you have to get through the pain however you can. And that's why it's really good to rewire, because in these moments that come up that are chaotic, you can use your rewiring framework to rationalize your situation, which then actually changes the way that you are experiencing the situation. Like, I wasn't as panicked. I was very calm, obviously, until, like, you know, I couldn't fucking breathe and shit. But, like, in the cop car, like, I was just, like, chilling. I was, like, looking at the, you know, the orbs. I was, like, you know, I had, again, moments where I was, like, going in and out of, like, really angry, you know, feelings, but also just being, like, this is, like, what I contracted. I literally was, like, I can't even believe I've contracted this, but that is so fucking on par for me to re-traumatize myself through the exact PTSD that actually I started my healing journey with. And now I'm ending it with the same thing, but I'm also adding this other layer of the psych ward, which I contemplated very heavily at the time that I got arrested, because I was so ashamed of myself that I was like, I think I'm really sick. I think I need to go get help, you know, but I just, like, didn't, because I saw my sister go through terrible things. And so, and I know other people on here have shared their experiences of going on grippy sock vacation, and, yeah, it's just as horrible as they all describe it. It's just, it's exactly how they describe it. And, like, the thing is like, part 6.